Perhaps I should say something about the global economy, because we have in this report for 97 looked at globalization, not just in general, but globalization from a human development point of view, and globalization from the point of view of inequality at the global level. Well, first, we find that the poorest 20% of the world's people have been getting ever smaller share, an ever smaller share of global income. In 1960, the poorest 20% of the world's people received 2.3% of the global income. Small enough, but it's gone down since then. By 1991, they were receiving 1.4%. And by 1994, using World Bank statistics, the poorest 20% received 1.1% of global income. The richest 20% in 1994 received 86%. So the gap between the richest and the poorest 20% has grown from 30 to 1 in 1960 to 61 to 1 in 1991 to 78 to 1 in 1994. And we don't see any mechanisms operating of the global economy to moderate those inequalities.
17 ans après le début de l'ère Thatcher, le rapport des Nations Unies fait aussi le point sur le développement de la pauvreté en Angleterre, pays souvent cité en exemple.
Poverty in the United Kingdom, as we show in the Human Development Report, has increased by nearly 60% from 1979 to 91, that critical 9-year period. 60% increase in the number of people in poverty in the United Kingdom. Now, it is not, in the case of the United Kingdom, so much unemployment. It is, as in the United States, people with jobs but earning too little to make ends meet, the working poor, as one says in English. And this is a very important problem.
No, it's not true. There are figures that people can bandy around for political advantage. Do remember that when these people talk of poverty, they speak not of the amount of money that people have. They speak of the difference between the incomes of the poor and the incomes of the rich. And if that difference increases, they say there are more poor people. Now, the poor people can be twice as rich as they were before. But if the rich are 3 times richer, then these people will say the poor are very much poorer. And we don't look at poverty as a relative thing at all. To us, that is just envy. We say poverty is, do you have enough money to afford decent housing, enough to eat, decent education for your children, decent health when you are sick? And if all of those improve, then we say you are not poorer, but richer.
Oh yes, Britain is booming, don't let Labour blow it. Yeah, well, we don't see Britain booming. If you're running a company and you're making a lot of money, yeah, Britain's booming. But if you live in some peripheral housing scheme and you and your children and the people next door don't have any job, and you've got people selling heroin, ecstasy and crack, then, yeah, Britain's booming, yeah, but for whom?
I think the logic of, one of the ironies of neoliberalism is that it associates itself so much with political freedom. But yes, the logic of deregulated world integrated capital without being matched by democratically managed political processes to ensure that the market and the private sector delivers benefits to all. The logic of this is that the state and therefore society, as unable to manage any influence over the way in which the market is developing, and what then can the state and society manage politically? If you can't do that, then you're left with a very, very narrow area of decision making, of a narrow area of policy where you can make a difference. So then democracy is the loser, because we're transferring all power to transnational companies and transnational institutions who are not accountable democratically for what they do and for the decisions that they make. So in the end, the danger of that is not only that we lose our democracy, but that people will then look for other alternative ways of having some influence over their lives, so that we'll get increasing political violence as well. You can't lose democracy without increasing political violence. If there's one lesson of history, that's a pretty central one.
À l'issue de ce voyage, il m'apparaissait que le néolibéralisme n'était que l'expression moderne de la logique de la domination décrite dans les années 30 par Simone Veil. L'histoire humaine n'est que l'histoire de l'asservissement qui fait des hommes, aussi bien oppresseurs qu'opprimés, le simple jouet des instruments de domination qu'ils ont fabriqués eux-mêmes, et ravale ainsi l'humanité vivante à être la chose de choses inertes.